Hey, Brandon.
How's it going?
It's not going too good. I'm still in Wyoming. I got no friends here. My one friend who's here, she's in a pretty abusive relationship. She's not allowed to be friends with me. Her husband's a controlling asshole. I wanted to call you to ask
Well,
you some questions, though.
okay.
Um, Officer Jonas, she wrote down that nobody was there for me, probably because of the way that I act. Um, a lot of people, when I call them to talk about why they didn't keep their word, they get angry like I'm calling them a terrible person. And, at that point, I do call them a terrible person. I know you better than that, though. Um, like, instead of, explaining to me why they weren't able to go, or explaining to the cops why they weren't able to go, or explaining to the courts why they weren't able to go, they treat me like trash because I'm asking them. Um, for you, the two times that you were going to go to court with me and said that you weren't able to. Is that because of the way that I act, or is it because you had things that you had to take care of?
Well, I would say the only reason I even volunteered and was willing is because of the way that you act, and I mean that in a non-negative, detrimental type statement manner. No,
Yeah, it's because you know me in person.
and there's also the facts that the reason I didn't go is because I work a fucking terrible fucking career that steals my entire fucking life from me.
Yep.
And fuck, man, I work myself into a migraine every day. I actually have a migraine right now.
I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Getting beaten over the head with a crowbar will do that to you.
Yep.
Did you have
It's just a
migraines?
matter of fucking. Huh?
Did you have migraines like that before you got beaten with a crowbar?
I don't know.
Brandon, you're a
Never
good
did.
man. I want you
Huh?
to know that. You've never done me wrong. Like when you weren't able to go, I understood that you had work. You explained it to me. I don't judge you or hate you for that. A lot of people take it that way, and you don't. I want to thank you for that. I really I really need a friend in person, and it's difficult for me because I can't go to Colorado because of warrants. If I go there, I will go back to the same jails where the police assaulted me and harassed me and belittled me and made fun of me. And I'd try to get you to come up to Wyoming to see me because I'm just right across the border in Cheyenne. But you spend a lot of time helping others. You know, your resources are limited. It's not like you're rich. I want you to, if you can, who am I in person? What am I like in person?
Well, I mean, that's it's a very, very situational question. Obviously, the answer could be very situational.
All right, so I guess
Uh,
who was I before all of this happened, before I hurt my back?
We're you were very, very optimistic, potentially, even like a cheerful type optimistic. You know, I always remember actually feeling quite positive about shit, you know? I remember about bumping into you in a Starbucks. I mean, no matter what the fuck I was doing, we'd end up talking about something that would make me smile, you know?
Yes, sir.
Which, I mean, hey, we live in a time where fucking, 90% of the people I look at don't even know how to be happy about anything anymore.
You know, I was happy because I had friends and I could see them. And if everything sucked and the cops were dickheads first thing in the morning, at least I could see my friends and they made everything better just because they exist. It was tough not to be optimistic. I mean, I had you who came to see me, and I got to see Veronica and Pierre and 100 other people. You know, I mean, I was good to people, and they were good to me as a result.
Yeah.
Did I promote peace, or was I somebody who was always screaming about hurting people and trying to find excuses to hurt people and blame others?
I mean, obviously, you promoted peace, and nothing but from my point of view.
Yeah, see, that's the point. You know, a lot of people, I needed them to say that. I needed them to go to court, but they couldn't. They all had reasons, like, you know, not just you, but there was a lot of people who knew me in person that weren't able to. A lot of people weren't able to go to court because they were too broke, or because they were homeless, or because I couldn't get a hold of them because they were homeless. I fought for their rights for a lot of years, Brandon.
Yeah.
You know, I'm confused by Veronica. I really am.
Huh.
Like, you know, she'd stick up for me one minute, and then she was trashing me and blocking me without allowing me to defend myself the other. You know, I mean, she said that she was gonna have a guy named Trevor who was gonna help me, and he never called. You know, when I was stranded in Denver, she's the one that came and picked me up. Her and Brian Townsend. Chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not ungrateful for any of your all's help, you know. I'm not. I'm extremely grateful for it. I mean, hell, you drove all the way up to the Little Bighorn River almost to rescue me.
Yeah.
Picked me up at the Maverick truck stop there in Buffalo, Wyoming. I sold my car so I could pay for the gas, but that's the thing, is that wouldn't have made any difference if you hadn't been willing to do it. I don't. Go ahead, Brandon.
No, I was listening.
I know you're a good listener. When I went down to get my computer and I went to the wrong police station. You know, I went to the Broomfield police station because I thought that that's where my computer was, because that's where I had left it. They made every excuse not to give me my computer back, but I was freaking out and I was shutting down, and you drove all the way there to get me in the snow. I mean, it's not that you weren't trying to help, because you definitely did help. It just didn't help me to defend myself against these people in court. And that's not me saying you're a bad person. A lot of people take it that way when I say that. I needed to be able to defend myself against these people in court. I miss you, Brandon.
Miss you too, bud. I feel like I almost do nothing other than fucking work recently.
That's how I was when I hurt my back. 4 hours in transit every day to go to work at Stone Lighting.
Damn.
Veronica got me that job.
Damn.
Nick, he's the funniest boss I ever had. He came to work. He made a suit of armor made out of the shipping boxes.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool.
It is. I lost that job when I hurt my back. I didn't want to hurt my back. I didn't want to get kicked out of the shop. I didn't. You know, when Josh said that he didn't have anywhere else to go, I believed him. And when he got us kicked out of the shop, his parents rented him a place. And he spent all of his money on drugs and alcohol to try to get laid.
Yep.
I tried to be understanding of that for 6 months. I mean, I didn't have an income, and other people were paying our shop rent. I mean, he had the money to pay that rent, but he spent it all on drugs and alcohol. And when I told him that I couldn't keep the shop or I couldn't keep the storage facility anymore, he treated me like trash for it, like I was doing something terrible because I couldn't pay the bill. A lot of people, I had to forgive them for the things that they did to me because I needed their help after Natalie died, and he was one of them. Veronica too, like the things she did after I hurt my back, the way that she treated me like I wasn't trying, it was difficult for me. Like when she kept hounding me about doing my taxes, she wanted to do a good thing for me, and I recognized that, but she wasn't recognizing that I didn't have access to a mailbox, so I had to talk to my boss. His name is Jesse at the Cheesecake Factory, and I had to talk to Jesse in order to get my W-2s. She wasn't understanding of that. She even offered to pay my phone bill, but I'd already paid the phone bill by that point, and she would only text me, and I was trying to explain to her that she's taking everything wrong because it's texting, and she went off on me. So I begged her to call me, and when she finally did, like, I answered the phone, I didn't even get to say hello. She was busy screaming at the top of her lungs at me.
Yeah, and I mean, she's got a good heart. She's got some serious fucking anger problems, though.
She does.
Yeah.
She's quick to
Really,
judge.
she's got a great fucking heart, but she is quick to explode and to think that she knows better than everybody. So.
And see, that's the thing. I know that about her. That's why I miss her. That's why I miss hanging out. People don't understand that the reason that I'm different now is because I haven't been able to see any of them. And, like, I didn't get to see any of you guys because of the assaults and the threats for over a year. And then Natalie died, and I mean, I'm constantly stressed all the time now. So they're allowed to be stressed over little stuff, but this is a big issue. This is a far bigger issue, and a lot of them got angry at me for being stressed.
Yeah.
Pierre, he was gonna meet me there at the Starbucks on University in Boulder. He told me he'd be there the next day. You know, he did something nice for me the night before. I didn't need his jacket, but he was insistent that I take it. and he was going to meet me the next day, and I was going to give him his jacket back. I only took it because he was pressuring me to take it, kind of like Alicia did with that telephone. I didn't really want that telephone, you know, it was all cracked to shit. But she was trying to do a nice thing for me. She just didn't realize how messed up that was gonna end up being.
Yeah.
But me, you know, I had to think about the consequences of that before it happened, and I anticipated having those issues. But I wanted Alicia to be happy, you know. My friend Jeff, it's because of one of his rules. He says, know who's good to you and be good to them. And then he says, you know that feeling you get when you help somebody? And I say, yeah. He said, why would you want to deny somebody else that feeling? And I agree with that. Miss Peaches wants to come up here and see me, but she's too broke. She works too many hours. It's difficult. Like, I need my friends in person, and I haven't been able to, except, you know, under extreme circumstances. Like when you came to see me, it wasn't like we got to hang out and have chips and, you know, play football or, you know, have some enjoyable time. It was an extremely stressful situation, and you were there to rescue me. You didn't have much time. Everything that I was, I'm still that person in person. I just don't get to be. I don't get to see my friends or family. I mean, I am so pissed off at Pierre right now, but that doesn't make me love him any less. I'm just pissed off at him a lot more.
Yeah.
That's right. I come to realize that most people who pick up the guitar, they pick up the guitar because they want to get laid. So his personality type is the I want to get laid type, and I knew that from the beginning. I still accepted him for who he is.
Yeah.
My friend Mary, she used to work at the Starbucks there in Boulder, and she was trying to help me out one night, and Pierre, he was so busy trying to chat himself up, trying to get laid, he didn't realize that, well, Mary's a lot older than Pierre. She just looks really young, and she was trying to help me, but Pierre was spending all that time trying to talk himself up and talk about how we've been friends for years and how he'd do anything to help me out. He did that for about an hour, and Mary and I were both trying to be nice about it, to try to get him to go away, but it got to the point where Mary had to go, you know. She's a mother, she's got a family, she can't. So that whole hour that she had set aside for me ended up getting eaten up by Pierre, and then when I mentioned that to him, he went off on me and said, well, you should have said something, and that's the thing, I did. I said something repeatedly, so did Mary. We were both trying to be nice to him, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And I mean, hey, man, you know, I'm sure in one way or another, his personality and his life experience, you know, led him to, you know, feel like he's fucking needy of women in such an incredible sense. But yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
It is. You know, I felt bad for him when Dino stabbed Brian Farmer and Jared Wallace at his house. I mean, that was such a fucked up situation, and I was there for him when that happened, you know?
Yeah.
He came to me often to talk to me about it. He said, you know, it's messed up because Haley, you know, Dino wanted to leave, and Haley wasn't having it. She was jumping on his vehicle, and she was drunk, and she was being an asshole to him, and she should have just let him go.
Yeah.
Haley sent me a friend's request on Facebook literally the day before that happened. And when Natalie died, she went out of her way to slander my name like everyone else. I barely knew her, you know?
Yeah, no, Haley's a terrible fucking person.
You're not the first person to tell me that.
Yeah, I went to school with Pierre and with Dino and with Haley and fucking a good amount of them when that all happened, and I knew kind of just exactly what happened. But Dino was not the smartest freaking apple on the block, but
He wasn't, but he was
he
good to me.
but
Sorry,
he
go
really,
ahead.
he was good to me, man. He was a fucking decent human being. I always thought. And I remember one time him saying, you know, if you don't stand up for what you believe, then what the fuck, like what, what's the point of believing, or what's the point of even being here, you know?
See, I feel the same
I
way.
remember,
I'm standing up for me. I'm standing up for all of us, our rights.
yeah. I mean, Dino said that to me, and that was one of the coolest fucking things I'd ever heard him say. And then probably, I don't know, a month or so later, he got locked up for probably the rest of his fucking eternal being.
You know, I'd be his Sally. I would. You know, I was friends with Brian and I was friends with Jared. I mean, I didn't know them too good, but they both told me that they show up down there for my jokes, you know, and that's kind of funny because I was always trying to run them kids off.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was Officer Ramos and Officer Paddock that actually it was their words that made me a little bit different towards some of them kids, because Maddie Boa, she shouldn't have been down there, you know. She was pretty young, and she was hanging out with the meth heads, and I was talking to Officer Ramos and Officer Paddock about that, and they said, well, they have as much right to be down here as you do. And I guess it was just maybe a week after that she came down after her dad had beaten the fuck out of her for being a lesbian. You know, that's actually how me and Maddie first became friends. She needed somebody to talk to and her dad beat the fuck out of her. She was wearing a red baseball cap. It was blue and white and it had a red brim, and she was wearing a white wife beater. I remember so many of those situations. I remember too much, Brandon. And there's so much for every story. There's 10 backstories, and I remember them all at once and trying to communicate that while people are snapping at me and interrupting me every sentence, and I end up having to repeat myself, and then they say, well, you said that already. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I wanted to make sure you heard it. And a lot of times you don't. Not you in specific.
Well, yeah.
You're a good
No,
listener.
as you even just tell me the freaking colors of her hat, I visualize the fact that I'm able to recall exact details because photos literally burn into my fucking mind.
Yeah,
I,
we're losing contact. Should I call you back on your phone number instead of Facebook? Shit. Hey, I called you on my actual phone this time.
Yeah.
You know, I live off of the kindness of others now. They took away my disability because I was incarcerated for so long, and they won't give it back because I have warrants from not appearing in court because I was in jail, and they wouldn't allow me to. So, you know, I had to do that desperate shit because I couldn't get people to show up in person, and I understand that they weren't able to show up in person because shit happens, you know. But the police, they went out of their way to paint a different story because I was going after police officers at that point. The police in Chapel, they did what they did to me because I was gathering evidence that their officers had done wrong. They hadn't done their jobs, and Sheriff Scott DaCosta was not okay with that. Same thing with the ones in Colorado.
Yeah.
When I lit that fire at Ken and Leah's, after I poured the gas on the ground, it took me 20 minutes to be able to psych myself up enough to do that because I didn't want to. I had spent over a year by that point trying to find another way to do it, trying to find another way to get an outside agency to look at it. I mean, the police coordinated with police across multiple counties to do those things.
Yeah, that's something I was gonna say before we lost each other there, but I was gonna say that not too many people can see an image and remember the exact detail of that image as if it were never altered once, freaking entered the brain.
It's called an eidetic memory. There's two different types of photographic, well, three different types of photographic memories. One of them is people like me who can build things in their head that would work in reality because the physics are the same. For some people, they see things like they were yesterday, you know. And then the third type is one that a lot of autistic people that can't speak. It's basically if you were to take a picture and then the next moment you take another picture and now you're seeing both pictures, and then the next moment you take another picture and now you're seeing three pictures, and then you got to imagine an entire life of those moments and you see all of those pictures. I don't have that third one, thank goodness.
I was gonna say that I can speak, but fuck, I almost feel like that's what my life is. A list of fucking pictures that all fucking hurt me.
Yes, sir. Being away from everybody when I hurt my back, that hurt me a lot. And Veronica not understanding the situation, that hurt me a lot. She was mad at me because I wasn't doing the things that she wanted me to, and I was trying to explain to her that I didn't have the ability to, and she just went off in the meanest way.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to hang out with you sometime. I'd like to, sit down and talk some shit.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make that happen.
So say it again.
I said, I don't know how to make that happen. I don't know how to make it so that I can see you without being punished. Not by you, but just for going to see you.
Yeah.
Having to worry about what the police will do to me again if they catch me because I turned in their officers.
Well, at some point, I've been thinking that I want to drive out to fucking Yellowstone.
Brandon?
Yeah.
I want to go to Yellowstone. If I could go to Yellowstone, I would dig myself a hole and I would live the rest of my life there. I got a Jeep. It runs. I got it fixed well enough for Tabby. She's a single mom with 6 kids. I'd like to get the Jeep to her. If you go to Yellowstone, can I go with you? I'll coordinate with you and coordinate with Tabby to get her the Jeep.
Where's she?
Longmont. She's a
What
good
kind of
woman.
Jeep is it?
It's a 92 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Yeah, no, it's Yellowstone's been a fucking ongoing thought to myself that I wanted to go to Yellowstone for a long fucking time.
It's beautiful up there.
I've been there only once, but it's fucking magical.
On the way up there, there's Sulphur Springs. It's one of Miss Jerry's favorite places. The water looks like it's flowing uphill.
Huh.
I'm sorry, I beg you to kill me, Brandon. I beg everyone to kill me because I miss you guys so much.
I understand that, man.
I understand why these people weren't able to go. I understand why Tabby wasn't able to go, and I understand why Graham didn't keep his word. When I talked to them about it, they got defensive, like I was saying they were bad people. She's not a bad person for being a mom. You know, she let Josh live there for... They were together for 10 years. 10 years of him being an abusive alcoholic. Now she's with Graham. Graham wasn't able to keep his word because he didn't have the money. You know, and he got defensive too when I said that I had to make the decisions that I made because he didn't keep his word, you know?
Yeah.
But also, like, because he was defensive, he typed down the things that I was hoping he would type out to the police, you know? He's like, dude, I was broke, you know?
Yeah.
And he spent $68 to send my stuff down to California. When I went there, I had to go to California because he didn't keep his word. And then I was stuck at Shannon Alvarado's. She drinks a lot. She's got a schedule for it though. Like, she stays sober during the day, but she's busy during the day, you know?
Yeah.
And she's a good woman. She's not a bad person. Just when she gets to drinking, you know how some people just have that personality when they're drinking. And she never took it out. Well, a couple of times she took it out on me because I made mention of it, but a lot of people are like that. With Veronica, the thing with her is that she doesn't try to see my point of view, and I try hard to understand hers. I do look at it from her point of view as best I can. I try to look at it from your point of view best I can. When I was in Virginia, I tried to look at it from her mother's point of view best I can, and you know what? I'm right. When I put myself in someone else's shoes, I'm usually right.
Yeah.
Before Natalie was killed that whole year, I literally didn't fit any of the criteria for being a stalker, not even one of them. I didn't ask where she was at. I didn't ask who she was with. I didn't ask for her address. I didn't follow her anywhere or go any of the places that she was.
Yeah.
But because of circumstance, people painted me out like I was doing those things without ever taking a look.
Yeah.
When I got rid of those people in Virginia, I got rid of a lot of people all at once because they ganged up on me and were really mean. Candace did that. And Miss Jerry and Miss Lana and Miss Amanda. Literally, all of the people who came back into my life after Natalie died, I shouldn't have let them back into my life. I already know what kind of people they are, but I was desperate because the people in Colorado couldn't help me. I just needed a safe place, you know? Your dad's place, that would have been perfect, but I understand why I couldn't and why you couldn't. You know, it's not your place. I got a picture of the minion that you had in the hallway still. I thought that was the cutest damn thing.
Picture of what again?
The minion that you had in your hallway.
Huh.
Remember the little yellow minion that was in your dad's hallway up there?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. I took pictures everywhere I went so that I had a record that I had gone there, that I wasn't bullshitting, that I wasn't lying.
Yeah.
You know, Joanna Taylor, they made a big old thing about her claiming, and I got that saved in a screenshot too. Some private investigators had claimed that I was pretending to be her. Is she a real person?
Sure.
JoJo Taylor, you know, Derek Parrish's girlfriend?
Yeah.
Is she a real person, or am I schizophrenic and pretending to be her?
No, but she's in fact, she was quite real. I don't know, the 6 years ago when I actually met her.
She was doing what?
I said she was quite a real person 6 years ago when I met her, too.
See? She wasn't the only one that they said wasn't real. They said that, well, Miss Peach's brother Gibo, when I went down to the police station on the 29th of December in 2017, her brother Gibo, didn't give me a ride. I was given a ride by the police there. The police gave me a ride there, and Miss Peaches and her family rode in Miss Peaches' vehicle. And these people claim that Gibo wasn't real either, that I was pretending to be him. But also, Gibo did what a lot of people do. They tell a little white lie, believing that they're trying to make things better, but he said that he was the one who took me down to the police station, and he wasn't. I went to the police station in the back of a cruiser.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people did that, and then Miss Peaches doesn't want to get Gibo into it anymore. She doesn't want him to have to deal with any of this or any of the stuff that she had to deal with. She had to move. She had to move because of the things that happened to me, because of what happened with Natalie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess I've had my stuff abandoned in Starbucks for about 40 minutes now. Obviously I can't talk about this stuff in public, so I have to do it out in my vehicle, and every time I make a phone call, I gotta pack up my stuff and come back out here and then go back in there, and the whole time that my stuff's in there, I'm having anxiety because I don't want to get kicked out for abandoning my stuff there and taking up table space, and I don't want it getting stolen. I've had a lot of my stuff stolen. I just want you to know I love you, Brandon, and I'm thankful for everything that you did. And I'm even thankful for the things that you didn't do because you wanted to and you tried.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'll say right back to you that I love you. And I don't know what my vacation time looks like. I probably have another month or two until I can actually leave work to go to Yellowstone. But maybe not. I don't know. I'll have to look at.
Well, I'm holding on for dear life here. I'll do the best that I can. I can't promise that I won't ask you to kill me again. Nighttime is the worst. There's nobody to protect me if the police decide they want to harass me for being parked here. I have permission from the manager to park here, but she quits in a week. She's going to St. Louis. Her name is Gracie.
Mm. Someone tells me St. Louis ain't gonna be any more fun.
Out of everywhere that I've ever been, St. Louis was the scariest drive. When I was coming back
Yep.
from Virginia, that place was...
Fucking rough.
I was literally run off the road twice just in the city of St. Louis.
I believe it.
People changed lanes without using their blinkers and without checking their mirrors and tried to careen into me. And if it hadn't been for my reaction time, and my reaction time is not that great. I mean, I was going through some real traumatic shit in my head, and I was just wanting to go back to Boulder and see my loved ones.
Yeah, I'm gonna say St. Louis is also fuck, man. It's just a rough fucking area.
Yeah, it is.
Dangerous in every way, you know.
There's a lot of homeless people there.
Yeah.
I feel bad for anybody who lives there. Sage
Fuck, I had
lives
a
in
friend.
Chicago.
I had a friend who lived out there. He said, you know, he was just pulling up to his driveway one day, you know, he was parked against the curb, pretty much in the street, you know. As he pulls up to his house, he said, frickin' he was getting out, walking up his driveway, and all of a sudden, fucking, some folks fucking walked up and literally just fucking started shooting him and his two friends walking inside. They ended up having a shootout right in the middle of his fucking front yard. And I mean, he didn't even do anything, you know, he was literally just getting out of his vehicle. He didn't even fucking piss him off earlier or anything, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like you getting beat over the head with a crowbar. They mistook you for somebody else.
Well, yeah, but fuck, at least I visibly had something that they could have taken from me, you know? I guess I wasn't visible either.
Right?
Fair enough.
Well, I love you,
Yeah.
Brandon. I'm going to let you go. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Hey, I love you too, bud. And keep in touch, huh?
Yes, sir. I'll do my best.
Say
Mostly
how
at night I need
something
to
will
talk.
be happening here soon.
Yes, sir. I'll keep in contact the best I can. I have panic attacks and I end up shutting down, but I'll do my best.
I
'Cause
believe you.
be safe, Brandon.
Hey, you too.
Bye. That's Brandon Ratner. I met him after he got beat over the head with a crowbar. He was dating Veronica. There was a kid named, I think it was Colin. He beat Veronica up. And I wasn't there. I'd have stopped it. Brandon is a good man. He dealt with Veronica and her mood swings for a lot of years. He took a lot of abuse because he loves her.